Good morning everybody. It's been a very long time since I have done a car review, a brutally honest review. Now this car popped up and I could just not say no. This is actually my good friend Niki's, and she was a girl who used to own the peach A45, was it A45? A35, something, A35, and this is her upgrade, so we say, from her A35. She's going on holiday for 2 weeks, so I have the keys to this. So I thought, let's do a brutally honest review. You don't really hear much about these cars, you don't really see these cars, but you cannot ignore, you know, the specs of these cars and what these cars are. I'll just drive into this car to the spot here. There are so many quirks, so many positives, so many negatives. There's just so many things to talk about this car, and it's a great car to review. So here is the Alfa Quadrifoglio. So we've got it in, I think it's a Monte Carlo blue. So how you're seeing it is pretty standard. So we've got the diffuser, the carbon rear roof spoiler at the back. We do have the carbon roof, which is painted. We have a carbon bonnet, which is also painted, but you can actually just see, especially when you're driving as well, you can actually see the carbon there, and it's all carbon underneath as well. You have these carbon sort of canards at the front, carbon front splitter, and even like the little badges are carbon. So even with all these splitters and everything, it's actually not an aggressive looking car. It's probably not as aggressive looking as like the M3s and the C63s and stuff. It's quite a sleek, smooth, rounded car. So we've actually got the twin calipers at the back. Annoyingly, one of them isn't painted and one is. Interestingly enough as well, if you have the red calipers, they actually cost more to paint them red than any other colour that they offer as well. So we have got the red calipers here, and this car actually has most options. The only thing it does not have are the Recaro bucket seats, which they offer as well, the carbon back seats. So let's put this camera down, let's jump to the GoPro, get inside the car, take it for a drive and see what it's like. First thing you notice are the seats. The seats are incredibly hugging. Like the bolsters, I've got a cushion pushing right in my back, giving me like good support. The leg bolsters, I feel very supported in the seat, considering it's not the bucket seats. Considering it's not the bucket seats, which you can get as an option. I think it's a £3,000 option, which I actually don't think is that bad. Some of the top range aftermarket bucket seats are around about £1,000 a seat. So when Alfa are giving you full carbon in seats, £1,500 a seat, I actually don't think it's that bad, you know. But I feel like everything this car has a positive, it has a negatives to go along it. The seats are full manual. There is no electronic adjustment whatsoever in the seats. It's a manual rail, it's a manual push up and down, it's a manual slide, a manual recliner. Everything's manual, and I was very surprised by that when I first got in it. Now driving it slow, the first thing that really annoyed me even stepping in this car, it was the first thing I picked up on within minutes. The brake pedal is so annoyingly awkward with these massive ceramic brakes on here. The pedal just feels weird. It's really weird, and it's really hard to get used to at slow speeds. Like I'm putting brake pressure on there slowly, and all of a sudden it just bites. There's no smoothness to the brake pedal. It's literally like driving in the passenger seat with your nan driving, that's just constantly like, you're like, what are you doing? And the steering rack is unbelievably fast. I actually can't even think of a car recently that's had a steering rack this quick. So the steering rack is just so responsive. I've heard that Alfa Romeo had Ferrari engineers come in on this car, and that makes so much sense, because the only car I can kind of refer this to was when I drove the Ferrari 458. The steering just feels exactly the same. Just how light and quick the rack is, it does feel phenomenal. You can also see where Ferrari have come in on this. You've got the button here on the steering wheel, you've got the Ferrari X pedals on the column, not on the wheel, and even just looking at the design of the dashboard, how it's going into the round air vents. I'm looking at that now and it literally looks like the back of a Ferrari 458. I actually feel like the look of the interior is quite nice. It's just there's no gadgets there to back it up. Like the screen here is not touch screen, there's no Apple CarPlay, there's nothing like that. The speakers are absolutely horrendous. It's one of those cars where you can't go over like half volume, otherwise the music just gets unbearable to listen to. The navigation on the screen just looks terrible. Can't see anything out of this car. Visibility is absolutely atrocious. The rear view mirrors are absolutely massive, but in a bad way that you still can't see anything through them. The A-pillar is absolutely massive. The doors are so short, pillar of the door is here. So your blind spot is like so bad. But again, like the pillar's there. I can't see anything. You've got to keep doing it every time. It's like, is anyone got blind spot? Curb, where's the curb? You just literally can't see a thing, literally. But overall, the cockpit, I like it. I actually do. It's all directed around the driver, almost like the Supras did in like the 90s. Very much like that kind of vibe. And the seat position is really good. You're really low. Very rare that I come in a car and I don't like the lowest setting. But this, I found myself having to raise it higher than the lowest setting. Now, numbers. This car is fast. It's got over 500 horsepower and it does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, which for a rear-wheel drive car with no launch control is fast. This is 7-minute Nürburgring fast. Actually, Evo Magazine's fastest saloon car around the Bedford Autodrome. So this car is fast. So it's a 2.9 litre twin turbo V6. Really weird 2.9 litre, but the whole engine is made out of aluminium, and that's to keep the whole car light, and that translates through everything in the car. This car weighs 1,500 kilograms, which for a car like this is insanely light, insanely light. Now they've managed to get it so light from the full aluminium engine, they've got aluminium subframes, and they've even gone that far to do a carbon bonnet, a carbon roof, and a carbon prop shaft. And you have over here, you can actually spin it over to race, which is a bit annoying because it's spring loaded, and then you're in race, everything is turned off, the exhaust valves are opened up, we've got stiffer suspension, but even in super hard, it's still a soft, it's still not like crashy. The suspension is amazing, I must admit, it's absolutely amazing. When you've got it in A, you could literally be driving some sort of diesel Audi. It is so smooth, it just floats around everything. It's actually really easy to drive. Actually come down here, go into A, it is so smooth, it's unbelievable. It's like just as an all-round car, it is really good. So when we come in race mode, all traction is turned off. It's the only way to get all the traction turned off in this car. Now you can stay in automatic in race mode, but it says on the screen you get a nice little message for best experience, bang it into manual. So we're going to put into manual. We are in full manual. So let's see how that 500 horsepower rear wheel drive 1,500 kilo feels. It's fast, mid-range, it's fast. Now, although it's fast, it doesn't feel like it's going to bite your head off. It doesn't feel as raw as the reputation it has. I'm not going to lie. I feel like it has been built to kind of, you know, prove alpha against the competition, and by doing that, they've just gone for figures. I feel like as a driving experience, it's not that fun. I know that people are going to massively disagree with me on this, and I know that this car has amazing reviews. Driver I am, I focus on the driving experience rather than numbers. I thought it'd be a little bit more aggressive and raw. I at no point have felt like this car is going to kill me, and I feel like I should have. To me, I don't care about selling points. I don't care about how fast it goes around the Nürburgring. I don't care about how fast it gets to 60. I don't care about the top speed. I don't care about these things. These are just silly things which you don't attain in day-to-day life. You don't experience a 7-minute lap time. You don't experience a 0 to 60. How many times are you going to sit there and just fly off a light 6 miles an hour? And who cares about that? The things you see in day-to-day life are things that you cannot measure. And unfortunately, it doesn't tick those boxes of unmeasurable things. Sound, feel, driving experience, rawness. To me, it's overlooked those points, and you can massively tell. It almost feels all-wheel drive with the twin turbo V6. It's just got power at every rev. And although that sounds like a positive, it doesn't translate into that much of a funny driving experience. Now, this car has an electronically controlled LSD, and it is so interfering with the driving experience. I have not once had any sort of twitchiness with the rear end. This diff just feels like it interferes too much, and it's just not allowing the car to slip. I just feel like the car was built to go fast around tracks. Just to beat the M3. It's faster than the M3, you know, it's faster than this, but in doing that, it sacrificed a lot of the soul of the car. I did do some research, and the thing that kept popping up was the diff are just reluctant to lock up. They just want to keep the car straight all the time.
Then you give it a go, and it's got a diff on it, this car, but it just doesn't seem to want to go. Oh gosh, that's way too hard. It should be simple. Oh, here we go, we're going now. Oh no, it's not. Oh, right, what is wrong?
And no matter how much you try to get this car to just give a little bit of back end, it just doesn't. So we'll try to brake traction here. That's all we get. And that's great for lap times, and that's great for beating people in drag races. It really is great. But as an experience, when you just want to take your car and have some fun, I think it's just counterproductive. Unfortunately, for the enthusiasts who've driven lots of stuff from all eras of time, like me, it's just not providing that sense of entertainment for me. But don't get me wrong, I mean, when you floor this car, it's fucking fast, and it climbs and climbs, and the gear changes feel amazing. Boom! Just gives you so much confidence, especially when you know it's not going to throw you off the road, because, oh wow, it's a fast car, mate, and I have absolutely no doubts of it being a way faster car than its rivals, especially around the racetracks and stuff. Absolutely no doubt. It just floats at high speed, glides. It's just so easy to drive. Stepping away from the, you know, the rear wheel drive aspect, how does it drive you just as a car, you know? Amazingly, literally amazing. It feels, for a big 4-door saloon, it's so nimble. I love that the what? So it just doesn't want to. I just want a bit more oomph, you know, want a bit more craziness, want a bit more psychotic behavior, want a bit more rawness. Because right now, it's just feeling like a fast all-wheel drive car. Low fuel, yeah, that's an ongoing thing with this car. So, overall thoughts on this car, where would I put this? In terms of cars that I've driven, cars that are for sale today, its rivals, where would I put this car? I would say this has so much more character than, you know, the all-wheel drive stuff, the RS3s, the S3s, and the Golf Rs, etc, etc. I would say that overall this is a more fun car to drive than that. Where do I put it, you know, against its rivals, the M3s, the M4s, the C63s? I just feel like the competitors, although they are slower cars, I feel like there's more emphasis on an actual driving experience, although they are not the best cars for driving experience. You know, I much prefer the older C63s, the older M3s. I feel like they're their main focus was driving experience. They didn't have turbos or anything like that. They didn't care about that. They wanted how the car felt, you know, how raw it was. And I feel like this sits somewhere between that. If someone said to me, would you rather on one of these or no, like the older C63s or the older M3s, I would take them strictly because they're more driver-based focused. This is just very focused on lap times, and if you wanted a car that was fast on lap times, you wouldn't buy a 60 grand Alfa. So I feel like I feel like it doesn't really know its place, and I don't really know its place. Fast, comfortable. I don't really know about reliable. Fast, comfortable, 4 doors, big boot. You know, for an everyday person, it is an unbelievable car. For an enthusiast like me, it lacks in some areas.